Hey guys, welcome back to another Hypixel API related video. And in this video, I'm going to be covering something very interesting because I believe it may be a potential solution to some of a problem that Hypixel is facing right now. Now, if you were on the code help forums at all recently, so code help, for those who don't know, is a specific subsection regarding the Hypixel API mainly and just coding stuff in general on Hypixel forums. There is a forum post. I'll include a link to this in the description down below. So you can go check it out if you haven't already. But it was posted by Plank, the admin and developer himself for Hypixel API. And this is very interesting to me because he mentioned that they were nerfing the amount of data that was going to be stored on the API regarding quests. Now, quests are a very big feature on the network, so it must be very important for them to do this. However, I think there is a better solution in some instances, at least to extend the current solution. So this is a solution that we can add on to the current solution to further build on our solution essentially. So to further negate the problem. So this is a problem that you can nerf some stuff to push it back, but eventually you have to push it back again. And I think that this specific section that I'm going to talk about today to fix a storage issue regarding the Hypixel API and the amount of data players have to store for this API for player stats in general, I think that this will help a lot. This will push the problem very far ahead, at least for some players. For some small percentage of the player base actually plays Turbo Kart Racers. This is a very big improvement. Now, to do this, I wrote a very simple Python script. It's extremely messy. Don't worry about the flow of my code. It's not very good here. But it's just to show you essentially the data in some reasonable way in my command prompt. And so this is just basic compilation of all the data. Now, if you guys want to go through this code, you can go ahead and join my Discord down in the description. Feel free to ask for the code. I can send it to you, and you can do any modifications you wish to it. Anyways, for this test, I've just got some functions that will get, or this function will get you very simply a synchronous response from the Hypixel. So using synchronous HTTP requests, it will send out a request and get the response from the Hypixel API for a player, or for any HTTP request, but we put in Hypixel API related URLs, etc. Now this just gets the total amount of byte storage data for a object. Now we've got three sets of UIDs here. One is the top 10 players by quest completion. That was our section for this. And this is just regarding quests, because essentially we want to compare the current solution, which is nerfing quest related data, to the new potential solution, TKR data. And I want to use Warlords to show specifically why TKR is a target here and why it's so inefficient the way that they're storing some of their data here. And it's absurd that it's this inefficient. It's so inefficient that for the top 10 players, the average is above half. So this specific subsection of the API is taking up more than half of their total API data. So imagine your entire API and more than half of it is this one tiny little thing that is basically useless. Okay, it's essentially useless. And if we can fix that, it would be for some players up to a 50% cut in their API. Some players it's up to a 75% cut or even 80% cut in their API data storage, which is insane to think about. This is unheard of anywhere else as far as I'm aware. All right. And the fact that the API developers or just the admins in general who work on the API and who have worked on it in the past haven't figured this out to me is very absurd. And I think it's very important that we bring this to their attention. So if you can go like and do whatever, share this video as much as we can. Hopefully we can get this video somewhere to a Hypixel API admin. Anyway, so that was the quest completion. So then top 10 TKR by wins, and then top 10 Warlords by CTF wins, because I couldn't get an overall wins leaderboard easily. And then we just get the data for some stuff. Now, there's three main things I want to look at here. One, I want to look at the amount of or the percentage of the API and the amount of bytes that are being used for quest-related data. Now, this is the entire quest folder or quest list or dictionary, or however you want to mention it, on the API. So this is if you go on the API and then you go under player and you want to go under quest. It's that entire thing. Next up, we got TKR parts data. Okay, this is a very specific thing. This is the one specific problem that I want to mention. So if you go into your API data, you're going to go under player, stats, gingerbread, because that's the code word for TKR. And this isn't the entire TKR stats. We're specifically going to go into this one little thing called parts. And in this, you will find an absolutely monstrous string, okay? A monstrous size string. It is absurd. This has no right being this large, all right? This can very easily, at the very least, be turned into a set of something, right? There's a ton of different optimization opportunities here. Instead of a string, we could just have many objects, which would automatically save a lot on storage. And then way past that, the main issue is just cutting down the amount of things being stored here. So the amount of objects, which are actually just strings in this, just growing, feeding into this larger string. So to reiterate, that's very simple. We go under player, stats, gingerbread, parts. That's what I want to look at today. And then down here, we also look at Warlords data specifically because in Warlords, they have a very similar feature as to the feature that's causing this parts issue here, but they didn't ruin it, okay? They have a better solution in Warlords already. So currently, what I want to talk about is in Warlords, you can get weapons and you can store an ungodly amount of weapons, I believe. And this would take a lot of data, but it actually doesn't take that much, it seems, compared to in TKR where you can collect parts and you can have essentially an infinite amount of parts. And these parts take up so much more data because they are stored in an inefficient way. And way past that, the bigger issue is why don't we just limit the amount of parts being stored to like 2 pages, 2, 3 pages, 10 pages even would be a large improvement, a very significant improvement over the current system. Now I'm going to show you guys my findings here. So I'm going to run the script and then I'm going to show you guys, and you might notice the name of this file is smarter than admin, so that's just a little joke. So I ran the script and so we see that the percentage here is going to be the percent compared to their overall API response. So for here, for the average TKR main, or sorry, for the average questing main, so this is out of the top 10 players for quest completions, I'm going to take their average between all these stats. So I get all these stats for all of them, and I take the average. So for the average here for questing main, about 34%, or roughly a third of their entire API is quest data, right? So at most here, by just simply cutting out the entire quest portion, we could save about 300,000 bytes. And then similarly, their parts is still very significant, okay? Compare this very small subsection of a game mode, parts subsection of a small game mode, I should say, TKR, to all of Quest. This is all of Quest across the entire network, all right? And then if we continue this, we move on to TKR mains. We can, so you can, sorry, going back to questing mains for a second, by removing this completely, you can save about 140,000 bytes on average. Now, if we go to TKR mains, their average for quest data is roughly 100,000 that we could take out at most. Once again, this is at most. We wouldn't want to remove all quest data, right? So we wouldn't want to remove any entire section of data here. Just nerf it, right? So bring it down by some percentage via optimization somewhere. And then the most that we could do for TKR is actually about 500,000, which for the number one player right now, I believe is actually 2.3 million. So 500,000 is very large. So you'll see that even the TKR mains, right, compared to the questing mains, right, this is almost double. This is a significant amount more. So if you cut out just a small percentage of, or sorry, just a portion of a smaller game mode, such as TKR, compared to entirety of Quest, it's still roughly like double or almost half, however you want to put it. It's like 2.5 or 2.4 times or so, right? This is a very big multiplier. This is a lot of data being stored here. And then you compare this to Warlords mains, where for some reason their amount is only 9%, which actually only becomes a like an absurd, a staggered, I don't know what word I was trying to say there, a very staggering amount. How low this is. Look, it's not even 18,000. This is so much lower than this. This is absurd how inefficient this is being stored. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully it's clear how absurd this data storage method is and how much optimization we made here, because even just looking at quest data for some percentage of the players, this is large. Okay, this is very large. And even if you look at top 100, it's still absurdly large. If you look at top 1,000, it's still very big. And as you go down, you get diminishing returns with it. But it's still so unoptimized, and it can be optimized so much further. And so I just really want to bring this to someone's attention because it is clear that so much data is being stored here when it doesn't have to be. Or at the very least, we could keep the same amount of data, but simply store it in a more efficient way than just throwing it into a string. All right. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hopefully you guys can understand, not my frustration, but how interesting it is and how it's weird that they target questing data over stuff like this that are very large. And hopefully maybe we can look more into this in the future and find similar things in other game modes. Anyways, I hope that this never happens again, and I hope that they can patch this by sending out a fix in the near future. But that's been it for this video. If you like this video or if you want to watch any of my other tutorials, feel free to do so. Feel free to subscribe, like the video, whatever. Just share this video in particular so hopefully we can get this to an admin or dev somewhere so this can get fixed as soon as possible.